Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we've got something. Well, it's pretty unique. We're working with a set of lyrical content that, honestly, reads less like a song and more like a transcript from someone's inner monologue.
It's incredibly dense, and we're going to try and get right into the heart of it, into the mind of this narrator who is just a fascinating mix of strategic, calculated, and deeply self-destructive.
Right, so our goal here is to really map out this massive tension that defines the whole piece. On one hand, you have this projection of complete success, that great line, momentum unstoppable.
And on the other, this raw confession that his inner world is, and I'm quoting here, crowded with my insecurities. Everything, and I mean everything, lives on that razor's edge between the performance and the panic.
And he throws down the gauntlet right at the start. He basically tells you, the listener, that this whole thing is a performance.
He does. He starts with the struggle is real, which feels vulnerable for a second.
Just for a second. And then he pulls it right back. He says, but you ask me how I'm doing? I'm just going to lie, using no discretion at all.
It's such a brilliant move strategically. He's not trying to fool you. He's inviting you to watch the performance, knowing that the whole thing is built on an unstable foundation.
He's signaling that everything we're about to hear, all the confidence, the control, it's all a construct. It's a tool.
Exactly. A tool designed to shield something really vulnerable. We're basically dissecting an identity that's been built from the ground up on pure, calculated projection.
Okay, so let's get into that performance. The vocabulary he uses is so specific. He gives us the physical specs, almost like a machine or a military asset.
Oh, yeah. 6'1", 215, command prime control, oft and delete.
Control, oft, and delete. I mean, that's the language of a CEO or a programmer. It just screams dominance, efficiency. He's not just living in his world. He's actively optimizing it.
He's getting rid of anything unwanted with the push of a button. It's this image of total self-mastery, and he backs it up with that sports analogy.
It's that high five, we won coach, momentum, unstoppable possibilities.
It's the language of a perpetual winner. And that's the front, right? The no-stopping persona. If you met this person, you'd probably find that exterior incredibly compelling because it's so tightly controlled.
But the crazy part is, he doesn't even seem to convince himself. He pulls the curtain back almost immediately.
Right, to show that he's actually working against himself. He admits he's cheating myself.
And it's not just bad luck. He says he plays second lousy at gambling. He's not just unlucky, he's like structurally incapable of winning because he's his own worst enemy.
And he gives us one of the most painful and clear images for that self-sabotage.
The three-legged race.
A three-leg race. I trip myself up. Can't stand who I am. I mean, just picture that. You're tied to your own goal, you're in the race, and you are the one who deliberately trips yourself.
It completely demolishes the whole unstoppable momentum idea. The external champion is being taken out by the internal failure.
And that line, can't stand who I am, that's the engine for the whole facade, isn't it?
It has to be. But this is where the idea of responsibility gets so complicated. He insists on taking ownership. Zero blame. I take the weight of my action.
But then in the next breath, he admits he can't do the one thing that would actually help. He can't, quote, let alone look inside for a little insight.
So what is that? Is that a paradox?
I think it's a brilliant psychological insight. He's smart enough to see the consequences, to feel the weight, but he can't or won't do the actual work of introspection that could change things.
So you have to ask, is taking the weight just another part of the performance? A way to feel responsible without ever having to really look inside?
It feels like a trap. He's accountable for his failures, but he's completely incapable of using that accountability to actually get better.
Okay, so if that's the internal chaos, let's look at how he manages it. The metaphors he uses for his identity are something else. Let's start with the ego.
This might be the most layered image in the whole piece. The ego is the elephant in the room being poached.
Okay, let's break that down. Elephant in the room, that's standard. It's huge, it's obvious, everyone's ignoring it.
Right, but being poached is the twist. That massive thing that everyone is ignoring is also under attack. It's vulnerable. It's being hunted for its parts, maybe.
So it's both massive and defenseless.
Exactly. And then look at what it's made of. It's hard-boiled. No yolk.
No yolk. So the center is missing. The nutritious part. The part that, creates life.
That's it, exactly. The ego is tough on the outside, a defensive shell, but it's hollow. It's missing a genuine, nourishing core that would give it any real value or stability. It's all defense.
And that hollow ego must be why he talks about identity in such a strange way. He says, I only digest identity shaky with the reason in the meat.
So he's consuming an identity, but the rational foundation of it, the reason in the meat, is unstable. It's hard to stomach.
And the seasoning he uses.
Tells you everything. Seasoned with overconfidence and neglect. It's a persona built on two extremes. The overconfidence is for the outside world. The neglect is for the man inside.
Which brings us to maybe the most provocative line of all. I come from a lineage of face eaters, not cannibals.
We have to unpack that. The distinction is absolutely everything.
Right, because cannibalism is physical. It's literal.
But face eating is psychological. It's not about eating a person. It's about consuming their persona, their identity, their mask, their face.
So his heritage is rooted in, what, strategic takedowns? Erasing other people's identities to survive.
I think so. It suggests he comes from a line of people who survived by neutralizing threats, maybe by dismantling or even absorbing the public-facing identity of their rivals.
That puts his own struggle into a totally different light, this constant lying and performing. It's an inherited skill set.
It's a kind of psychological warfare, and it feeds right back into his own shaky, unstable sense of self. He learned to treat identity as a resource, something you can metabolize.
That's a perfect setup for the next part, for his whole strategic mindset. I mean, with all that internal chaos, his life has to be this constant, exhausting game of chess.
Totally. He's always watching, plotting. He even calls his entire situation practice.
And he calls himself an adapted hybrid.
Which is key. He's not a fixed thing. He's constantly evolving, blending different traits just to survive within these organization-given restrictions.
So every move has to be strategic. He can't afford to be spontaneous, because if he is, maybe that internal chaos spills out.
And that forces them into this incredibly rigid black and white worldview. He says, my daily routine leaves no guesswork.
It's a black and white, no gray area set of actions. You realize it's not a moral choice for him. It's a defense mechanism. He needs that rigidity to keep from breaking down.
And you see it most clearly in how he manages his, let's call it emotional capital. That line about disposable politeness, reusable hate.
Disposable politeness, it's just, wow. Politeness is a tool you use for a transaction and then you just throw it away.
It has no lasting value. But hate is a resource. It's reusable.
It's chilling. It suggests that for him, hate is more reliable, more stable, maybe even more comforting than a complex emotion like empathy or vulnerability.
It's a fuel source. It's the one thing he can count on to power this whole high-control persona.
And that path leads straight to conflict, doesn't it? He says, take the risk over reward. His default is violence.
And when his own beliefs get shaky, he doesn't go to therapy. He props them up artificially, using a steroid to beef up my belief system.
The steroid metaphor is perfect. It confirms it's all artificial. He knows his own convictions aren't strong enough on their own. They need a chemical enhancement to seem real.
He's self-medicating his lack of faith with a dose of artificial certainty.
So after all of this, the lies, the strategy, the hate, the steroids, what's left of the real person? He gives us a glimpse.
He does. He says, I got a champion I'm hiding. First-round draft pick.
So the potential is there.
Yeah.
Real top-tier talent.
It's there, and he knows it's there. But it's hidden, it's constrained, either by the organization or, more likely, by his own survival strategy. To let that champion out would mean being vulnerable.
It would mean tearing down the whole performance. So he's hiding his greatest asset just to protect himself.
The tragic irony, he's constantly practicing, always plotting, but his best move, his winning move, is the one he keeps on the bench.
And he ends with that warning, that reminder of what he's holding back. Have you seen my demons don't keep testing or you might meet them?
And that's the final connection. He is the ultimate planner, plan ahead and prepared. But all that preparation is just a containment system for his own vulnerabilities. The unstoppable momentum is the shield for the demons.
The entire thing is a portrait of a survival mechanism under just immense pressure.
It all comes down to the game. He's playing this game where he knows he's always on the run. Even if the game is robbery, they got a description that don't mean they caught me.
He's trying to outsmart his own identity crisis.
Which brings us back to that heritage. I mean, if you see yourself as coming from a lineage of face eaters, people who survive by dismantling personas,
Then you have to ask the big question.
how much of that momentum, unstoppable persona is real, inherited strength, the champion, and how much is just a strategic mask he built to survive the game?
A high-control, low-discretion mask. You have to wonder what's being burned as fuel to keep that whole thing going.
What's being depleted behind that hard-boiled hollow shell?
Think about the cost. What parts of himself does he have to delete every single day just to keep that momentum going? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.